Say the line, Bart.
Well, it is one of the great cliches in sport, a game of two halves, and that's exactly what we saw this afternoon in Sydney. Look, it was a thrilling game of rugby. I wouldn't say it was the best game of rugby. I think it's fair to say that these two sides, the Wallabies and All Blacks, have played much better rugby. I mean, yes, there was some great attacking play from both sides. But yeah, like defensively, I think the All Blacks actually played much better defensively in South Africa. I guess it's a different time. We're playing the Wallabies. It's a different type of game, different expectations. So maybe I guess the intensity of the defense was not there. But yeah, look, I mean the All Blacks in the first half. The All Blacks. There was really only one team, and it was the All Blacks. And yeah, look, they probably should have been at least 33-14 up at halftime. Given the amount of play that, I think 14 points kind of flattered the Wallabies. 30, look, it should, but the halftime was 28-14. Still not entirely sure what the TMO saw that, was definitive evidence of a knock on from Sever Reece. Which meant that the on call decision was a try. So yeah, we will find out a bit more. It seemed incredibly harsh, or just they found something in there. I guess we'll hear a bit more from World Rugby on these officials in the coming days. So yeah, watch this space. But yeah, certainly I'm still bemused, and if you are wondering, if you do happen to see if you did see Sever Reece knock it down, then definitely comment. But in any case, look, the All Blacks, there was just really only one team, and it's kind of like the Wallabies were just unfortunately really embarrassing to watch, and yeah, there were a couple of them, back in the day, of course, I still remember 100,000, this same stadium, of course, with the Olympic configuration back in 2000, of course, broke the world record for attendance. And yeah, of course, those days are long over, but it was quite evident, even though it was an afternoon rugby game, that there were a lot of empty seats, and certainly in the upper tier. It just shows you how far rugby's union standing has fallen in Australia. But nevertheless, look, lots of Kiwis in there, and they would have enjoyed what they saw. Great running from Caleb Clark, and certainly Cortez Ratum. I thought I think Cortez Ratum by far has certainly been the most improved All Black, and that's not saying that he was bad or anything, but I think the fact he's gone from a rookie to someone who's looked really good, and I think people will say that Cam Roygart's going to take back the All Blacks number 9 jersey when it comes back. I don't think it's that straightforward. I think that is a really, really great sign that, halfback is possibly one of our strong positions there. And don't forget, you've got Noah Hotham as well. So look, more on that, but, certainly, certainly a great, I think easy Cortez Ratimer's best performance in black. And by and large, the All Blacks it looked like, a record score was on its way for the All Blacks. But then I must remind you that, rugby is not a game of 40 minutes, and it's 80 minutes. And, again, now this has become a trend. The All Blacks, the All Blacks only scored 3 points in the entire second half, and it came quite early on. Look, I know they had a try disallowed, which was rightly disallowed because it was a forward pass from D-Mac. Look, I know there will be criticism on D-Mac. I'm not trying to shy away because I have interviewed Tom from Myth of Damien McKenzie, and I don't think Damien McKenzie's that bad, and I know they're going to be critics. But, is he really the best? I guess, it is. There kind of needs to be a bit of competition at number 10, and right now I guess we're not really kind of getting that, so certainly not from Beauden Barrett. Harry Plummer came on, our latest All Black, but he's not, I wouldn't say he'd be the answer to providing the push that probably D-Mac needs. Look, D-Mac's playing fine. I don't think there's anything really particularly wrong with D-Mac, but I don't think he has the same element of control that, like Richie Mo'unga has had. Certainly looked like he has some freakish skills, and it was a bit unlucky that the pass to Jordan was forward. But yeah, I guess certainly feels like in when he does seem to disappear a little bit. So, and his kicking game is yeah, I think certainly the kicking game needs to be worked on. But although the kicking has never really been his strong suit, so is he the right first five to? For now, I think he is the first choice, but yeah, it is kind of, as I did say in another video, that is a little bit of concern there. Do we start, I guess, as the end of the year to a time to start bringing in Josh Jacob, who's been really, really brilliant for Taranaki this season. Hasn't had a Super Rugby full-time contract, but look, I think the kid's ready, and I think at least needs to get him into the All Blacks environment sooner rather than later. Certainly to build that depth, because what used to be our strongest asset is now becoming our biggest Achilles heel, to the point that the Wallabies bench actually beats us. Look, a couple of notices. Look, I think Tom Wright, the fullback, who had a wonderful Super Rugby season, continues great form and easily the best Wallaby on the field, along with Fraser McWright, the Reds flanker. Look, I know Adi Severe and Sam, he was always going to, so with Sam King and Adi Severe, that Wallabies back rows are always going to be under pressure. But look, Fraser McWright actually, and Harry Wilson, I thought did a really, really respectable job. And then when I think having Tate McDermott has got to start for the Wallabies, surely. I think he's not just merely an impact player. Nick White is really just, Australia's Cobus Reinach, just really, I think Finley Christie would lap him really, and he's, he just seems to talk more to the rest rather than focus on his passing. Tate McDermott, once he came on, he just absolutely lit up the Wallabies backline, and of course with Tom Wright being untackleable, made up a word there. Yeah, the Wallabies looked really, really good. I should say, let me rephrase it. The Wallabies just dominated the ball and really put the All Blacks under pressure. And yeah, I mean, look, they still needed to win the game to really get themselves. I guess, the test would have ended a draw, would have meant a one-off decide in Wellington. I think realistically they needed to win this game, and yeah, look, again, it's execution, passing between the backs, and that certainly let the Wallabies down second half. Callaway dropping a pass that really, I think, look, I thought that looked like he dropped it backwards, but certainly someone like with Callaway's experience caliber, he should, that he's dropped the dolly, but yeah, so. Look, and they really did put us under pressure, and I can highlighting that, this, we need like Anton Leonard-Brown. I mean, even Caleb Clark should have probably known better that knocking the ball with delivery like that was going to be a yellow card. Anton Leonard-Brown really should know that, refs, when the All Blacks were being pinged for offside, that the next person to infringe was going to go. He should really have known that. But yeah, it's just the same old problems. And yeah, the question, I guess, is Scott Robertson the right person to lead the All Blacks? I'm of the faith, look, it is still early days, and this 2024 was always going to be a huge rebuilding period. And I like to stick by that. And I think the real acid test will come next year. If we're still in the same scenario next year, then I'd have to say we need to, then we would have to make something drastic and cut ties with Scott Robertson. I don't think that's going to happen, and I've always thought this year was going to be a development year. But having said that, I'm still struggling to see the development in this All Black side. And certainly there is going to be, look, I know there's been there's been upheaval, losing Leon McDonald as an assistant backs coach. That's the first time perhaps. It's not exactly a bed of roses. It's not exactly paradise in the All Blacks camp. So it's that, I mean, but I think there's certainly, there is certainly going to be a lot to look at. Certainly in the weeks between, next week's test in Wellington and the first test against Japan, the opening series of what is going to be a really, really tough tour. You got Ireland, France, England, even Italy's going to push the on the physicality side. So certainly, it is. This was certainly not the video I was hoping to make after this test, after seeing the first half. Although I guess by that one of the first half I was on that token, I was like, how good are the Wallabies exactly? But yeah, look, I mean, Laurie Maines had that issue back in was it when he first took over? The All Blacks weren't in a great spot, and they were just developing. And even Graham Henry also had that issue. I think it's sort of been a while since the All Blacks have had this issue where they're just having to redevelop. But it is crazy to think, look, we won. We won. I know we should be happy about that, but it kind of feels a little bit like a defeat just the way we played in the second half. So on to Wellington we go, and it'll be interesting. I think, look, we've got the Bledisloe in the cabinet, so I think we really should try and experiment here. It'll be interesting to see what happens. And look, I think I'll probably need to dedicate another video to that, because there's just going to be certainly a lot of more to talk about. But what are your thoughts on this first Bledisloe Cup game between the Wallabies and All Blacks? And I guess, is it controversial to say that the world has kind of left behind New Zealand and Australia when it comes to rugby? And that these sides are not what they were. Look, it happens. Look, Real Madrid, Barcelona, for example, they were, in the 1970s, 80s, they were nowhere. They were nowhere in terms of European football. It happens for the cyclic, but I guess right now the All Blacks and Wallabies aren't exactly the shining stars of world rugby right now. But what are your thoughts on the game? Is it too early to cast to say that Scott Robertson just isn't quite what the All Blacks want? What needs to change? And what about the Wallabies? Is this the sign of is this the turning point for Joe Schmidt, particularly as they look to host the British Lions and the World Cup in the next 3 years? If you like this video, feel free to like and don't forget to subscribe.